Hey, we back. Zero and Go, episode number 6. And we got a special guest for all our listeners out there, Mr. Bryan LePage, the third mythical brother of Mark and Michael LePage.
What's up? But don't forget the eldest. Definitely the eldest.
The Ellis.
The Ellis, yeah. What's going on here? Yeah, we actually substituted Bryan for August.
Yeah.
So,
August
if you didn't like August, you're in luck. Because he is absent for this one, and I'm sure that really hurt his feelings if he's listening.
It's okay, August. We still love you. You'll always be in our hearts, but I don't know. We might find a new host tonight. We'll see how Bryan does.
Yeah, we forgot to tell Bryan this is his tryout.
Tryout?
So if he does well, maybe we'll invite you back permanently. We'll see.
I'm guest of the year.
Well, you're third guest, so...
Talking shit.
I'm already going to be guest of the year.
Talking a big game.
I'm just saying.
Should we have guest awards?
Guest awards.
Oh, we should at the end of the year. We
should have a banquet with all our guests. And we'll give them a guest award.
Like the Dundies?
Yeah, yeah. Have you ever seen The Office, the Dundies?
Yeah.
That'd be sick.
Yeah. We would come up with this crazy, like the funniest guest and the quietest guest and...
Yeah, we can come up with just crazy categories. That'd be hella fun. But, alright, so Bryan, tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Alright, so I currently work at a place called Redtail Technology. I do accounting for a CRM web-based software for the financial industry. I also like to play soccer, go skiing, be outdoors, as well as, I don't know, just have fun and live my life to the fullest.
That's a Kodak moment if I've ever heard one.
Yeah. I think there's something in a bio like you have to write at work or something.
Yeah.
That's what you say at the very end.
Tell us how you truly feel, Bryan. Don't hold anything back. Anything goes on this podcast.
Anything goes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Grew up with these two youngins over here. And it's been an adventure, and I'm glad I could be a part of your guys' podcast today. So thanks for having me.
It's going to be fun. So, anything in particular that you want to talk about today? Like anything in the news? Anything that's just fascinating?
Well, I know we got...
or things you've been pondering lately? Just...
tickets to go see Jordan B. Peterson in San Francisco this Saturday coming up.
You allegedly got tickets. We don't even know. Because they haven't sent us the actual tickets that we can like download or anything.
But whose job is that, Michael?
Well, Mom bought them. So, Mom's job. And so we might have to go to Will
Mom, here comes the bus. Watch out!
Yeah. I was talking to August, and August said we might have to go to Will Call. It might be one of those events where you just have to go pick up your ticket earlier. But I doubt it because it's on Eventbrite, and that's a pretty reputable website.
They usually send it to you.
Yeah.
They usually send it to you on Eventbrite.
Yeah.
You can, like, print it from there.
So I don't...
You usually get it as soon as you buy the tickets.
Yeah, which is odd. And so I don't know... Mom hasn't been able to find it, and I haven't been able to find it on my email.
Well, didn't she get, like, an email confirmation when she originally bought it?
She got, like, the receipt of buying it, so she, like, however many dollars, $400, whatever it was. But she never got the actual...
Damn, it was that much?
Dude, it's Jordan Peterson, man. He sells out everything. Those prices skyrocketed. I don't think he's, like, not sold out anything, any event, or any venue he went to.
I wonder how big...
Even in Europe and all across
but I wonder how big his venues are, too.
They're pretty big.
Where is this one at?
This one's at the...
Marina...
Or the Marine Ball or something.
Marine Ballroom or something like that, right?
Something Marine. It's on Sutter Street in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So, my guess is it's decent sized, but I've never been there, so I can't say.
Yeah.
But he's been selling at, like, larger arenas, because I've seen some of his videos, and there's well over, like, I would say 2,000.
Well, my point to all this was, I've been reading his book recently.
How far have you... So his book, 12 Rules
12
for Life.
Rules of... Yeah, for Life.
How far have you gotten?
I've gotten to just the second chapter so far, but based on Chaos and Order and what he says in there makes a lot of sense, and it just really resonates with, I feel like, me in everyday life, or something that I'm just really into psychology and trying to get to like know why people do what they do, basically. So it's really a good insight to why people do what they do. And
what chapter is that?
Chapter 2.
It's like make friends who want the best for you, or is that 3?
No,
that's 3.
That must be 3 because I'm not there
that's
yet.
The one I'm on.
Chapter 2 has to do with
I know, but going back, like, did you read the foreword though, by Norman Deutsch?
I think I skipped over that.
Go back and like reread it. That is a great foreword because it gives you insight. Like, he basically talks about how he like first met Jordan at a party and like how he was different than everyone else, and like how he didn't want to win a conversation. He was just searching for the truth, and so like you could easily like talk to him, and it was easy, and you can tell like he wasn't trying to one up you or anything, like, because some intellectuals will do that. They'll just try to prove that they're smarter than you, but he doesn't try to do that. Mm-hmm. And so that's what makes him very different than like most of the high intellectuals.
Yeah, very true. I think he's talking about the point right now where you want to be balanced in chaos and order, and have one foot in chaos, one foot in order, and how some people get out of balance right now. Basically,
does he give like explicit examples?
Yeah, he does. Yeah. He basically saying like how order is being like routine, your environment that you live in currently, something that you feel like familiar with, and order can be, or chaos can be anything from just something happening at work that's causing you problems to, as well as, I would say, just something that like isn't in your normal routine, basically. And so there's always chaos and order in everything you do, basically. And it's just a balance of whether you're in chaos or whether you're in order. So it could be, for like Michael, for example, chaos is like waiting to even hear back from grad schools and having stress on that. So that's literally chaos, because you don't know what you're going to do. So you're kind of in chaos mode. Not necessarily like panic chaos, but you're just like anxious chaos.
Yeah, it's a place where there's unknowns and a place that you haven't mastered yet.
Exactly. And
you're not getting your desired results.
Yeah.
Because you haven't mastered it yet, basically. So there's stuff that you still need to know, and there's stuff that you overlooked or something like that. But the chapter 2, what we're just talking about, is treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping. And so, yeah, that's such a good rule, though, because like some people will just beat themselves up and like act as their own tyrant and like really harp on themselves and be really harsh to themselves. And if you can do that years after years after years, that really changes how they view the world and how they view themselves. And so that's like a huge rule. And then, but what I was talking about with the foreword, or what's it's called the Overture by Norman Deutsch. His last sentence in there was pretty crazy. Like, I've been pondering this for weeks now. It goes, but if it's uncertain that our ideals are attainable, why do we bother reaching in the first place? Because if you don't reach for them, it is certain you will never feel that your life has meaning. And perhaps because, as unfamiliar and strange as it sounds, in the deepest part of our psyche, we all want to be judged. And so that last part there, which is in the deepest part of our psyche, we all want to be judged. That you could just talk about that and try to go down that rabbit hole for like years. It's like, do these humans have like these deep held beliefs or deep held longings to be judged? And like that's what Christianity did for like thousands of years. It was a high ideal, and we would always strive for that ideal. And now that like Christianity is not as big of it doesn't have as big impact in our culture as it did previously. Like, how does that change our culture? And like, do humans really like need or want or strive for this ideal, and they want to be judged? Because if you think about it, if there's like a government official, let's say a police officer, and you didn't do anything wrong, but you want to somehow still, there's a deep part of you that still wants to prove like I'm not a thief or something, and like so if he sees you driving along the road, you're like making sure you've done everything right and seeing like, look, I'm doing a good job. So like that, he's like judging you basically, and you like want to prove to him like subconsciously that you're doing great.
Yeah, so he has no reason to pull you over basically at all.
Yeah.
Which makes total
because you
sense.
don't want to get pulled over.
Yeah. Well, that. But that was just like an example, like
because you don't want a ticket, you don't want something to delay you, you don't want like another thing to deal with that day. Like it's just making
you don't want to deal with the consequences, basically.
Yeah, and it feels good like when you're like doing the right thing when someone's watching you. Because when like a government official is like watching you, you just want to like prove to them that you've done everything right. I don't know if that lays into it at all, but maybe some people have stronger feelings of trying to do the right thing in front of an authority figure than other people.
I think it depends. Yeah.
Or did you resonate at all, like with his first chapter about the example of like the lobster, and it's basically talking about how to like stand up straight, and basically how a lobster will send out these hormones for female lobsters and stuff, or to try to invite them in, basically so they can mate with them. However, if a female lobster like doesn't like rejects them, it actually like gets them down in their psyche. So like they actually tend to like
lowers their serotonin levels.
Lowers their serotonin levels, and then also like
it could be their psyche thing too as well.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. Serotonin levels is what I meant, and with that also it just makes them like not want to like reproduce as much actually then because of that. And same with like because they have to fight off male lobsters. If they lose, then they'll think of themselves. They won't try to fight someone like another person that basically is stronger, like a stronger lobster than them too.
Yeah, and that goes into like the whole appearance socially too.
Yeah,
it's so applicable to humans because if you walk into like maybe like some sales deal and you're like standing up straight, you're confident, you're speaking with purpose and clarity, rather than someone who's like more like hunched over and like they're softer, quieter, and they're saying a lot of ums and offs and like they don't really know what they want. Like that, the guy on the other side of the counter is more likely to like take advantage of that guy with, you know, who seems less, I don't know, aggressive, more confident.
Yeah, who's the hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah, exactly. And then everyone treats you differently if you do like you hunched over and you speak softly and you're not really confident. Like people will treat you differently than if you just stood up straight and you had confidence and you had that. People treat you differently. That's for my like observation at least.
Yeah. I mean that seems to ring true, but that's like common sense almost. I feel like.
Yeah, it's so common sense because like we've been doing it for thousands of years.
At this point, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like everything you're saying, it just seems like, duh, you know? Yeah. It's that point of like, yeah, obviously, if you stand up straight, if you have more assurance in yourself when you're going into a business deal or just interacting with people, people are going to approach you differently.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's just like, he talks about the appearance level, and that's just like one level of analysis on there. And he goes into like the biological level, how you're more likely to feel more positive emotion if you are higher in the dominance hierarchy and you have your better posture. It affects like your mood and how you interact with other people from a biological standpoint, which is interesting. And the other interesting part is like those guys who win are more likely to continually win. The guys who like lose are more likely to lose, and that's the same with the lobsters. And how you can use like depression pills on lobsters because their serotonin systems are the same basically as us. And so that's pretty interesting how we can use the same pills on us and it'll work just as good on lobsters.
Well, it's the same. It works for just as in people as it does the economy too. Like the rich get richer, the poor get poorer.
Yeah, that goes back to like the Matthew principle in economy.
Yeah, that's what he was saying.
Not when you got that immigrant mentality.
Yeah, guaranteed. Yeah, with that Matthew principle. He does talk about that, right?
Yeah, he does talk about that.
He talks about the Pareto distribution.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so true because like if you're like the stud athlete or like the superstar like Elon Musk, a big CEO of a company, if you're someone like some guy really famous, like you'll get like all the girls and like more than you can handle, and you have the choice of like all the girls basically. And then if you're like more of the lower end range, like you don't have the choice of any of the girls.
Yeah, it's
because everyone wants to mate with the king.
Yeah,
so
it's
that's
natural selection.
That's like the competence hierarchy he's talking about.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Because if all things being equal, if I can date a guy that has $50 million or date a guy that has $5, like your chances of survival are much greater with a guy with $50 million than a guy with $5. So,
yeah,
obviously you're going to choose the $50 million.
Yeah, and that's why
that's just like Darwinism 101.
Yeah, and that's why the social constructionists like don't get that because they don't know the past and how we evolved and know like our hierarchies. They think you shouldn't just choose the rich guy, just go for the poor guy basically. But everyone chooses like the most attractive mate that can tolerate them.
That's true.
Because you're not going to go for like this rate amount of 10, but I mean, so if there's a 5 and you have an option to go to or date an 8, you're like going to date that 8, right? Unless like there's something crazy about her or something. But if their personality was the same, but their looks was the only thing that was different. Well, I don't know anyone who would choose a 5. You know, everyone's
beauty's on the inside, Michael.
No, I said everything's the same though. We're gonna hold everything constant, except for
nothing's ever the same, Michael.
Slightly different then. But
how dare you objectify women like that?
Yeah, see, yeah, then that's when they say that, which makes no sense though. But that's the point. Like we're getting at. It's like that affects like everything. That whole dominance hierarchy, and you can't change it, so it's not social.
It does.
Destructive.
I mean, but
You're
that's
part
why
of the male patriarchy.
That's why they say
you're part of the problem, Michael.
I'm just part of.
That's why they say, what is it, like 70 or 80% of people marry within their same economic background that they grew up in.
I think attractiveness too.
Well, yeah, because
but you're right. Yeah,
I mean, it's easier for a girl to move up in a economic situation, or
if she's good looking.
Yeah,
if she's bad looking, she's going to work just like a man. That's Dan Otosh's famous joke. When I heard that joke, that was hilarious.
It's hilarious because it's true.
Yeah, it's only funny because it's true. If it wasn't funny, well, if it wasn't true, it wouldn't be.
Yeah, it's funny.
It wouldn't be funny at all.
Yeah.
But since it's so blatantly true,
yeah,
that makes it even more funny.
Exactly.
You mean they can't just do booty pics on Instagram?
Yeah, not the chosen ones, I guess. But booty's the one thing you can change though about women though. That if you don't have a good booty, you're just a lazy woman. Because you can go in the gym, you can hit those squats, but you can't change your face or something like that.
Nowadays, there's plastic surgery.
Well, you can, but it wouldn't look natural or as good. But like
you can change everything. You can do fat injections like.
But I'm saying the easiest thing is your butt, though.
I guess.
I feel like
it doesn't cost like thousands of dollars, like a huge.
There's
surgery.
just a lot of people, especially Americans, that are lazy nowadays, and they just want the easiest results and don't have to actually work for it. So
talking like a true baby boomer over there, Bryan.
Yeah, but I'm not a baby boomer though.
I know, but that's what they all say. But I think that's what every generation says to the lower generations. Like, you guys suck. You guys are messing something up. You guys need to work on this. Like, that's just natural, though.
Well, just technology in general. I feel like we have literally a switch for everything that you don't even have to get up now. It's all controlled from your phone. Oh, I want to change the thermostat. I don't have to get up anymore. Let me go to my app and change it because I'm too lazy.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, I don't want to vacuum. Oh, let me get my robot to do that real fast. Was it Roomba or whatever?
Yeah, the Roomba,
yeah. I mean, there's just Amazon Go. Oh, I don't have to ever go to the grocery store anymore. Boom, Amazon, deliver it to my door. Like, people are just lazy.
And if they get on the healthcare end,
I
boom,
guess.
pills. Boom, doctor to me instantly.
Way better though.
I feel like
I'd rather not spend
it's a slippery slope. Once I feel like you get on that path, it's just very easy to continue, and I feel like it's very hard for people to get off that path and not be lazy.
Well, definitely. But is there any other viable?
Yes, but it frees your time
though?
up to not be lazy with other things. So
that's a very rare thing. I feel like people do. I feel like, at least for the majority of Americans, it's I just don't want to go drive to the store to have to pick up this.
Because we're in this like in between phase where all of a sudden now everything's applicable. But if you want to be like have a fulfilling life and be achieving things, then you're hustling like Gary Vee is, and you're getting a lot of shit done, and you're getting a lot more shit done because of all these technologies, all these.
No, yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm
life.
not trying to bash technology at all. I'm just saying, it gets people lazy. But there's obviously good things with technology. Think about it, like security wise and whatnot, and.
It all just depends on how you use it.
That's true. It all does
so
depend
it's
on how
like
you
on an
use
individual basis. If you're a lazy fuck, you're gonna be a lazy fuck regardless.
Yeah.
If you're too lazy to like clean up your room, as
Jordan Peterson says.
Jay Peterson says, like, if you can't get your room in order, then you're not gonna be able to get other shit in your life in order.
And actually, it's like a very true statement. I feel like too. Like,
so is your room clean or messy?
Yeah, my room is clean.
Like how clean?
Very
like military clean.
Military clean. Grade A clean.
I don't believe that.
Sheets are crisp and the corners cut. What's going on?
Yeah,
I don't believe that.
Mom would approve of that bed job
instantly.
I don't know.
Bed making 101, as Mom says.
Did you feel some like psychological benefit when you finally done and you looked at your room?
Yeah, I did actually.
Spick and span.
I feel like I'm in order, as like I have more things in order than in chaos, as Jordan Peterson says. Like, and it gives me like a peace of mind too, realizing like, okay, this is clean. Like, I feel like anxiety has lifted, or it's just something off my checklist I don't have to like worry about, and it's just easy for me to like. Also, at the end of the day, I'll take off my jacket and just hang it right back up. I just don't leave it on the floor. It's just something that keeps it clean. But I'm also more of a orderly person in the first place. Unlike Mark over here, who will leave his dishes out and have someone else clean it up for him.
Yeah, every day. but did it also give you?
Let's not throw rocks in glass houses, Bryan.
Did it also give you a minute sense of confidence in yourself and your inspiration or motivation to achieve other tasks?
Yeah, I would say it gave me. I want to say maybe motivation, but it gave me inspiration that I could achieve other tasks to like the fullest that maybe I wouldn't have done before. Maybe I would have done a half-assed job on. I took it more seriously and was able to actually probably achieve those more.
Because there's this famous speech about some military general giving basically that same speech as Jordan gives, is like, make your bed every day and that will help your life, basically.
Yeah.
Just doing that one simple task.
Well, I remember in college I never really would make my bed and stuff, and just you get busy. I know it's very easy to like not make it because you're gonna sleep in it the very next day, but being able to get up and actually make it makes you already, I feel like, have like an edge on productivity for the day. You know what I mean? Or also like nowadays too, like I don't do it every night, but I do it most nights where I lay out my clothes the night before, and it's just something I don't have to think about, and I know that's what a lot of successful people do too. It's just one less thing to think about the next day.
Do you also think, thanks Mark, so when you do a task like that and you do it to 100%, do you think if you compromised and you only did 99% percent of it or to the best of your ability, the next time you have another task, like you go to work, do you think you're more likely to do 99% rather than 100%? You're just going to skip out on one thing at work? Do you think that really changes you?
No, I feel like it changed me where I'm probably going to do the extra mile more than anything, where like I might do a lazy job like at work, like maybe not cross all like the T's and I's or everything, but now I'm like double checking it and making sure everything is right before I hand it in.
Yeah,
I mean, not like I wouldn't do that before, but it'd be something that like I just got to get this done, like this task done, and I'll hand it in. But now I feel like I double check everything a lot more thoroughly.
That's that saying. You do everything how you do one thing.
How you do anything is how you do everything. Is that what you're thinking of, or is this a different one?
Same thing.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. Tomato.
Yeah, but yeah, that's a good point though. And I think you can clearly like pick those guys out almost instantly who like do everything to their 100, like to their best basically, and then give 100%.
Yeah.
I think for me at least, I see like okay, so that's a guy who's gonna do everything to the best of his ability and do it right the first time.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that's hard to find nowadays. I feel like we grew up like that, especially with Dad. If it wasn't done right the first time, your ass is back out there getting those weeds.
Yeah, it'll drag your head, throw it back out there. Yeah, and this spot, this spot, and this spot,
yeah.
this spot. It'll show you, and then all you can do is just say, "Yeah, you're right." Hang your head and go fix it. Because you knew, like internally, you knew, like, yeah, I kind of shorted this corner over here. I could have got that weed right there. I could have came back over here, but I was just so tired. I just wanted to give up.
Mm. Yeah, you just wanted to go hang out with your friends and stuff, have a normal life.
Yeah.
But our work ethic, I feel like, at least mine, I feel like, is a lot better than most people's.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's something that I feel like I can always improve on every day. Like, I may not, like, I don't know, hit the gym for, like, 30 minutes of cardio that day, but I know I'm going to be playing soccer, but the next day, I'll, like, make up for it by, like, hitting the gym and also playing soccer or something. So, I don't know. It's something that, like, everything you do can be improved on. And it's just, are you going to, like, lay in your bed and relax there after a hard day of work, or are you going to keep grinding even though the days, your work life, or your work day is over, basically?
Yeah, and that's what another thing that Jordan Peterson kind of touches on is, like, having goals, because
but achievable goals.
Yeah, obviously achievable and realistic goals, and as you move towards the goals, then you'll feel positive emotion, because you can only have positive emotion if you're aimed at something, and you can see yourself moving towards that goal.
Yeah. You always want a goal, what he said was always to be basically moving upward.
Upward trajectory,
yeah,
he talks about like a positive feedback loop.
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah.
Well, it wouldn't be really a goal if it's not moving upward, right? It would just be like a pitfall.
Well, no, some goals end at certain points that you get to, like...
Yeah, but if you're making goals, it's something to, like, the goal is always better than what you currently have.
Yeah, but if you have no goals, then you're not going to have any positive emotion. That's when you, like, stagnate and drop off.
But you can do it the other way, too. I don't think it's just... It doesn't have to be just achievable goals. Like, many people, like, get off on having such out there goals that they'll never reach, and they know they'll never reach it, but that's the whole journey of it, and that's what's exciting to them. That's like how Gary Vee is so successful. Like, he started from nothing, and one day, when he was like a teenager running his dad's liquor store, he's like, I want to buy the New York Jets, and that's his fucking goal, and he doesn't care. Like, that's not probably not even achievable. Like,
with Gary Vee, it could be though. He's a crazy guy.
it could be, but he doesn't look at it as an achievable goal. He sees it's so far out there that it doesn't even matter, and it's not even him like one day buying the Jets. Like, he would love to do that, but he talks about how it only matters to him how he is like taking steps every day to just get closer to that goal. So it's just something out there that's like, okay, I want to be closer to that. And then you just do something. You do things in your day that will get you closer to that one thing. Whether it's buying the Jets or going to Mars or whatever it may be. Like, having non-achievable goals, like a lot of people have that psychological feedback, cyclical thinking where it like gets them up every day and it gets them motivated, and this is why they're grinding, this is why they're working to achieve that unattainable goal.
You're right. I think we misstepped when we were talking about it, because he says aim for the highest conceivable goal. So like whatever the highest conceivable goal to you. So for Gary Vee, that would be the New York Jets. And if you're not hitting, but if you're feeling down and like you feel like you're really struggling and you're not doing anything right and you're really in a bad place, then you have to scale it back to something smaller. Yeah. And once you hit that, then you can hit something larger. That's farther.
And there's no reason why you can't do both.
Well, that's what he's talking about. He said to have both. That's what I'm saying. Like, with your part and what Bryan said, with those combined, then that's the right way to go about it.
Yeah, it's probably the ideal way to go about it.
Yeah, it probably is, and you just need milestones or, like, you know, basically steps in your goal, where to reach, you know. Just,
like, even Tony Robbins talks about that in his, like, financial books. Is like, all right, it's like, it's the same thing Gary Vee does, where you reverse engineer something, and you start from, okay, what do you want your life to look like in 35 years? And then you, like, literally write shit down on a list. Like, I want to buy this car. I want to own a fucking island. I want to fly a private jet. Right. Like, whatever your goals are. It could be, I want to have a stronger relationship with my wife. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be, like, monetized or, like, material. It's just whatever you want, and, like, literally write it down, because in a way you're speaking it into existence. And then with his financial book, he, like, breaks it down. Okay, this is what you have to do from, like, year 20 to get to year 35, and then year 15 to get to year 35. And, like, it just reverse engineers it from the top, going down. And that's what, like, Gary Vee does with all his media stuff when he's working with these media moguls in New York and working for all these companies, he's like, okay, what's your goal? You start there. And then you have to, like, just reverse engineer it. Okay, what does it look like to achieve that goal? And then it's just a step-by-step of reverse engineering.
Yeah, that reverse engineering is incredibly powerful. And with Tony Robbins, what he said in Money Master the Game, it wasn't like that book that you were talking about, but his book before that, Money Master the Game. One of the things like that really stuck out to me that I still like remember to this day from reading it is like you have this goal, say you want to buy an island, but maybe that's not the best way to do it. You may want to rent an island for all your friends for 2 weeks, and then they'll have the servants and the food there, and it'll actually be cheaper than buying a whole island, than putting on servants there and building houses and doing that. Mm-hmm. So he said, like, even though that's your goal and that's what you think you want, there may be a better way of going about it that it's not actually what
more
you want.
Attainable for someone.
It's not actually your goal, your original goal, what you think you want, may not be what you want.
Yeah, you're still getting what you want because you want that island, but, like, if you have enough money where you're going to buy an island, odds are you're not going to be living on that island unless you, like, retire and, like, you know, stop making the amount of money you have to buy that island. And so, in that sense, he also used a private jet analogy where you should just rent a private jet instead of buying a private jet, because then you don't have to pay for the upkeep. You don't got to pay, like, for pilot and all that shit.
You know, the legal aspect of it.
And the whole, because the odds are you're not going to anywhere close to fly enough to, like, make it worth it to buy a private jet, versus just renting a private jet whenever the hell you want to fly. So you can still fly as much as you want, but it's more cost efficient in the long term to just rent it each time you want to use it instead of outright purchasing a private jet to always be, like, on your hand and feet, but you can still do that when you're renting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and so
it's just a money thing, because that book's all about just saving money, setting yourself up for the future, whatever you want your future to be, and just the tricks and the trades of going through, like, 45, 50 different financial moguls throughout the world.
But let me ask you this: how do these pertain to people's? Because everyone has, like, different personalities and stuff. Some people obviously aren't, like, they don't care about money whatsoever. You have those hipsters that live out in, like the woods and just live out of the van and stuff. So how do these goals pertain to them?
Are we talking like from like Tony Robbins' book? Like we talking like money goals?
Just in general, like how do these achievable goals? How would you say these achievable goals attain to them? Because everyone has different personalities, or they don't care about money. They're maybe more of an introvert. They don't want to be like social.
Yeah, so
because money requires obviously you to be successful, and successful kind of requires you to have like obviously some marketing skills and sociable, and I mean not necessarily, but like
It probably just depends on like the person, like what you want. Like if you want better relationships instead of making more money, you can still reverse engineer that. Okay, what does my better relationship look like with Bob? Okay, Bob, we're really good friends. We hang out every weekend, and we have a lot of things in common. So that's my ideal relationship with Bob. And so what do I have to do to get there? See what he likes, see if I have common interests, and plan something for this weekend. And you can just go down that list and try and knock off things and reverse engineer it to get to the point where you become best friends with Bob and you're hanging out every weekend and your kids play with his kids and whatever it may be, like however you want it to line out, you write it down and you just reverse engineer that. It could be anything from a relationship to renting a plane versus buying a plane. It could be almost anything.
And that's the beauty of America. You get to choose what your goals are and what you want to pursue, and then you have the responsibility and freedom to go out and go do that to make your life meaningful. But if you know more about yourself too, from a personality standpoint, that would help you out and go a long ways. Because if you're a huge extrovert, you're probably just going to want to go to a lot of parties, hang out with friends, and do other stuff. If you're an introvert, then you're just going to want to stay and write a book or get to level 10 on a video game or something. And so that will be more meaningful to you, depending on your personality and how you're shaped that way as a person. So if you understand that, and that's why people
That's why I recommend actually doing those personality tests to see.
That's going to help. That's really going to be immensely helpful because not only do you understand yourself better, but you understand other people better and how to interact with them, and and that's why those introverts, they're probably not going to be the best at sales jobs because they're not going to be out there and going and making these cold calls and talking to people, and they're not comfortable going up and introducing themselves and stuff like that. Yeah. But they can learn those skills, but it's just not natural to them.
Yeah.
An extrovert they love doing that, and that's why then they thrive and off those situations. Yeah. And so that's a huge part, especially in any workforce. All you have to do is learn about personality, and you'll be able to work with people a lot easier, and you'll be way more liked. Because if you know you're an extrovert, and then you can dominate the conversation, and so you're just going to scale back what you say and how often you say stuff, then people will probably like you better. Otherwise, those people will view you as someone who just dominates the conversation if you're just continually talking all the time.
It also depends on who you're talking to. If you're talking to another extrovert, they may respect you more for being more dominant in the conversation. But if you're talking to an introvert, you probably got to dumb it down a little bit and not be so out there with it, because they will relate more to you as an individual on a person-to-person basis for what you're trying to achieve if you're maybe a little more docile with it and you're trying to get on their level so they feel comfortable talking with you, and then they can express their opinions, their views, anything like that on their level. If you can I think that's what makes a true good salesperson or a good just person that knows how to interact with all different types of people, is you're able to change how you talk with people depending on which type of person you're talking with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you're not treating everyone the same. You're not going about conversations the same with everybody. Good managers will know that. They'll know who they really need to be hyped and animated around, and others be more calm and maybe a little more serious.
Yeah, Tony Robbins kind of touches on that in a lot of his books and seminars and stuff. Is mirroring people. If they're talking really high and fast like this, try and match them with high and fast energy like this, because that's what they want. They want to go quick. They don't like waiting around. But if you're from the South and you like taking your time and really getting to know somebody, you might talk a bit slower. So, it's just little things on that, picking up on it, like how fast you talk, the way you sit, like in a meeting, like the posture, a whole number of things where people are automatically going to relate to you better because they see you as them. They see themselves in you, and so they can relate to you a lot better.
True. I agree.
That's
a very good point.
So basically Tony Robbins kind of figured it out just with like the experience aspect, and then Jordan Peterson figured it out from like a technical academic standpoint.
Mm-hmm. But I think all these things also take experience, like in wisdom. You know, obviously, like they're all from older people that we're getting this information from, and I think it's good that our generation has actually, you know, started to listen to podcasts more, or you know, picked up on clinical psychologists like Jordan Peterson, or you know, financial experts like Tony Robbins. You know. Just to try to learn their wisdom and better ourselves as like a generation. I think that's what our generation is pretty good at, is trying to learn from older people and taking it a step further. So we may not we're not in their shoes.
And that's
like
also
as long with difficulties or chaos, I guess.
Yeah, and that's also like an individual choice. Like, do I want to accept that advice from that older generation? Am I actually actively seeking it? Because I know some people like don't do that, and they don't try to learn and try to actively seek advice and learn from other people and apply like their wisdom and learn from their mistakes and apply it to their own lives. Because that's like an active choice we have now as a younger generation. Like, do you want to continually improve and learn? Because you have the opportunity. You have YouTube. You have all these other TV shows, and
you can learn way faster, way more efficient than ever before.
Yeah, this is the age of information. So
if you want to get ahead, then you would do all those things. But if you don't, and you're content with just playing these cool new video games that are coming out, then sure, then you can go do that as well.
Yeah.
So that's just a huge life choice you're making at a young age.
Very true.
Yeah, I feel like kind of touch back on the point where you said like everyone's kind of like lazy and stuff now compared to back then. You had that real like baby boomer mentality about it, you know.
There's some validity in there.
There's some truth in there, but I feel like a lot of my friends and stuff, they listen to like podcasts and stuff all the time, and so I kind of have a different view on it, where like people of my age, like a lot of my friends, they're fascinated about these things and they love having these like long form conversation. Hence why we're doing a podcast right now, and hence why I listen to podcasts.
But hence why they're also your friends, because you have that in common too.
I was about to say what Bryan's getting
but
at,
it's only growing and growing. Like the popularity is growing significantly. That long form conversation, I know I've harped on that like several times on this podcast, but I think just understanding and people embracing on that long form conversation is what really like grows ideas and grows philosophies and grows these things. And this is why Jordan Peterson is so popular, is because he himself, like you won't see like short clips of him. He does like long form stuff where he really talks about it in depth, and that's what ultimately is like true knowledge.
But what Bryan was getting at, like, the bulk of people, they are getting lazier, and I do believe that. But, like, the people you're talking about who want to listen to podcasts and stuff, that may just be your friends and your select group of friends.
Your social circle.
But the majority of people may not be thinking that way, and that's where I think Bryan is very true. I think the majority of people aren't thinking that way and aren't trying to learn as much as your friend group is.
I think people are, like, coming around to it, because podcasts are, like, significantly growing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And so, like, you see it within our political system. Like, people are just, like, fed up with, like, the system and, like, the short clips you get on, like, CNN or Fox News or any of these other, like, television sites where you're going to get, like, 7 minutes, and you're not going to be able to discuss any political, like, scope in 7 minutes. Like, good luck with that. You're not going to get both sides. It's not going to be fair. Anything like that. That's why these long forms are, like, crucial important to people. And I think people are slowly starting to realize that, where it becomes more enticing. It's like, okay, this other CNN, Fox News bullshit, like, they're clearly biased in one way. But if I can listen to like a podcast where it has different people on and I'm getting a bunch of different views on one thing, I can really grow my knowledge, and then I get to form my own opinion. And that's the greatest part about it, is that you get to take everybody else's opinions and experiences and then apply your thought process, your experiences to them, and then you get to formulate your own opinion with these long-form conversations.
We all agree with that, but I think we're stemming away from what Bryan first proposed.
I'm talking about a general population, basically. And also, you make a great point. No, I truly believe that, like, it is getting more popular, obviously, but also our attention span as a nation, and even with these millennials, like, they've done research where it actually has shortened, basically, so that's why they do those 7-minute things. Because if you watch, like, the attention span, that's why Netflix is so popular, and all these TV shows are actually getting more popular than actual movies are. People can't stand there for 2 hours, to watch a movie. Whereas these TV shows are making them shorter and shorter. People are scrolling through Instagram. It was like, oh, boom, boom, boom. They're doing the dating, Tinder, apps or whatever, Tinder or OkCupid or whatever, and they're just swiping like left and right. They don't even look at their like bios. They're like, oh, is this person attractive? No, I'm not even attractive. No, keep swiping. Or, like...
No, I totally get it. I get what you're saying.
But their attention span is just definitely short. And I even feel like I've noticed it in myself just from, like, on Instagram and stuff. I scroll up and down, like, super fast. And I'm just like, nope, cool. I don't even really read the captions as much. I'm like, if you have a cool picture, I'll kind of like it. But, like, but then I get back to sometimes, like, actually, like, reading someone's caption. And it's, like, it's actually pretty funny or, like... Or there's, like, good, like, insight of, like, what someone may have achieved in that picture or something. But I'm just, like, I don't care. Like, it's not a cool picture. Like, maybe their photo, like, lighting sucks, so I'm not going to like it. But their actual caption is, like, I just ran, like, a marathon or whatever. I mean, not everyone does that, so.
And what you said, like, how you kind of get in that mindset sometimes, you have to think about it. And you didn't even grow up with technology like that as well.
Well, I mean, a little, obviously, I had computers.
I feel like we were the first people to grow up with technology. Like,
but what I'm saying is, I'm saying we didn't have tablets and stuff constantly, and we didn't have, like, movies in the car growing up when we were small and stuff like that.
But our friends did. Like, our friends had televisions in their car watching movies.
I know what I'm saying is, like, but Bryan and us, we didn't have that, so we came with the less technological background when
like
we were
a
very
minuscule amount compared to like any other.
I think it was huge actually. Mom put screen time on us.
Well, honestly, when we were growing up, what did we do? We always played outside.
Yeah, we were outside constantly.
Mom was like, you have to you go outside like for at least an hour. She would never let us sit in our house, watching TV or whatever. She's like, you have to go outside for an hour. I don't care.
And our parents weren't very tech savvy. They hardly had any tech around.
Now I feel like nowadays, when I worked at like the private elementary school I worked at, like, these kids all had tablets and they didn't want to go outside. Like, even on a nice day, they're like, no, I'm going to sit here and play Angry Birds or something like that. And I'm just like...
and that's the point. And you never grew up playing Angry Birds. That was my exact point.
Yeah.
You weren't sitting there with the tablet. You actually went outside and did all this stuff and you had this life experience and you used your imagination.
And they say it brings, by using your imagination, it brings creativity to children, too, because they're still growing and whatnot, so...
Yeah, it's definitely
like, their brains are still developing, so yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, you definitely need... I think boredom's actually good for kids because it'll make them use their creativity and then they'll act out like mom and dad and they're playing house.
If you just go to a restaurant right now and you just people watch, how many people are not even having conversations and they're just on their phones, like not even fully, like in tune with the conversation that someone else is trying to have with them. They're either on their phone or they're... I don't know, like old people even like reading the newspaper or something, they're just not having like a conversation one-on-one where I feel like that's rare nowadays and it's hard to find. But I think honestly that's how more in-depth conversations and that's how people grow too though. Instead of listening to one another.
But I feel like also a lot of it is like people aren't talking about things they're actually interested in. Like people are just talking about, oh, did you see this on Instagram or this on Facebook or whatever?
Or this on the news.
Yeah, exactly. So but if you get into a topic with, like, we've all been there, where you get into a conversation with somebody and, like, something in the conversation, like, immediately, like,
sparks your interest
in both, like, he says something where it's like, I took this really cool photo today, and maybe he shows you the photo, right? And you're like, dude, that's awesome. Like, what did you take that photo on? And then he like goes down the list, and you realize this guy has a sick camera, and you're both into photography, and like you immediately knew his passion for photography just based on how he took the photo with, what like camera he took it with,
what kind of lighting,
and then you can go like super deep on just talking about this one photo. Oh, where was this at? Like, what time of day? How did you edit this photo? You know, what software do you use? What type of lens did you use? Yeah. Like, it could be an infinite number of things, and that could still be talking about that one photo for literally like an hour.
That's one of probably the best feelings I feel like to ever have is like to just come across someone that you hardly know or like just met for the first time and it just somehow clicks. Like
because he said something that was important to you.
Yeah, exactly.
And if it's important to him because he brought it up and he can talk to a certain depth on it, you can just have that immediate spark. Like, the first incident that comes to mind is when I went to go watch the UFC fight at your house with Brendan and Nathan, and me and Brendan just started talking about cryptocurrency for, like, an hour and a half. I wasn't even, like, paying attention to the fights anymore, because I was way more interested in this conversation about cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
And the fact that he had a lot of knowledge on it, and I was literally just, like, picking his brain about it, and I was learning a lot, and Brendan could tell that I was really interested in something that he was already interested in and learned a lot about, that it became super interesting to both of us, and we were both bouncing ideas off, like, how crypto could work, how crypto couldn't work, all the, like, potential pitfalls it could have, all the potential greatness it could have, and, like, having that instant click of something that you both actually care about, you can really have a, like, long-form conversation, and then your attention span, like, could almost be as long as, like, you could, like, possibly want any attention span to be. Like, you could have that conversation for 2-3 hours. Like, just that day alone, me and Brendan went pretty deep on that cryptocurrency, and we talked for at least an hour and a half, maybe a little bit longer, hour 45, but just talking about cryptocurrency, and we only stopped talking about it to watch the final fight of the night, which was the main event. And so, if you're able to, like, find those, like, Easter eggs where you have something in common with somebody else, and it's something that actually pertains to you, is interesting to you, you're going to pay attention to it, and you're actually going to be really engaged, and your attention span is going to be, like, so much longer than just swiping through Instagram.
Yeah, true. And, I mean, those relationships obviously build and take off just from that spark, and, like I was saying, that's one of, like, the special things in life that, like, I think it's so rare, and when you do find that, you know, like, to have that conversation with someone, it's just, like, you instantly build a relationship with them, you know? And that's pretty cool.
Do you think those opportunities and interactions have decreased with technology because you're more likely to look at your phone and scroll by rather than wave at your neighbor or wave at a stranger that are coming by?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it all depends on the individual, how you choose to use it. Because I feel like technology is a double-edged sword where it can be used for your personal, your community's greatness, or it can be your personal or your community's, like, pitfall, depending on how you choose to wield that sword.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But do you think? But I was trying to get more at, like, the bulk of people. What do you see?
The majority of the general population
of people.
I would say it's probably the pitfall for the majority.
I would say pitfall, but, like, my optimistic self is saying that's only because it's such a new thing in society that we don't know how to use it, we don't know how to master it yet, and the fact that it's so new, we don't know we don't know how to wield it yet. You know, you have this new ability, think of it as a video game. You get a new ability, but you don't know how to use that ability yet. Like, you have this ability of having information at your fingertips, of learning anything you want to learn on the internet, and, like, use it to your advantage to be more proactive with whatever you're doing. Building a business, building a friendship, It could be almost anything. I feel like the possibilities are infinite, which is why I love the title Zero to Infinity. But Zero and Go is like just as good because you're starting from nothing and you're just going. But
I think that's more originality too, which is why I kind of like it better. I like people that have obviously originality and they're not trying to impersonate someone else, or trying to be someone else that they're not. So
I think
you can tell that from a person too,
Yeah,
like you just pick up on that as like almost like a one of your five senses.
You're kind of like you get an intuition of like, oh, he's kind of a a poser for lack of a better word.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think humans been doing that for a long time, so it comes easy to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it really is just a skill that we are in the infancy stage of learning how the fuck to use it properly. Because with like all the depression and like depression pills and suicides and all these sort of things, like I feel like we literally don't know how to use it.
It's because I feel like also humans nowadays aren't as challenged as they were back then. Because you didn't have to... Your worries are different. That's why I feel like the suicides are up higher. Because and stuff... just because your worries, I feel like back then, like evolutionary-wise, was like not to get eaten. Like you didn't have time to worry about like, this person, like... He called me a loser. I don't, like, I hate myself now.
Has that happened to you, bro?
I'm sure it's happened to me, but I don't hate myself. I just feel like they're a dick, but...
Yeah, I definitely harped on that exact point in a previous podcast where I was like, before, like, we learned from our trip to Belize, like, they worried about different things when you were living in the jungle. Like, they were worried about getting jacked by jaguars.
Exactly.
Fucking jaguars. If you're worried about getting jacked by a jaguar while you're trying to just live...
You don't care about what someone says to you.
Yeah, you don't give a fuck. Like, your level of priority that you provide to somebody that, like, was rude to you for, like, 30 seconds of that day is literally at the bottom of the list if you're worried about getting jacked by a jaguar.
Yeah.
And it'll make you shape up real quick. You won't be really disappointed or dragging all day because you didn't get that last mango.
Yeah.
There's a jaguar around us, so I better shape up real quick. I better act properly.
Yeah.
And I need my group too. I just can't get mad at them and storm off.
Yeah,
walk
exactly.
Out the building
walk off
like
and then...
Yeah. I need these guys for protection. I need to count on them. I need their trust.
True.
I need to be in their good graces.
Yeah, but that's why I think our suicide rate and mental illnesses have only gone up because we don't have as much stuff to worry about anymore, and that's due to technology. I mean, too.
Some of it, yeah.
Some of it, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's part of the double-edged sword I was talking about.
And what Mark was talking about, like a double-edged sword, that's kind of like akin to the problem where our technology is advancing faster than our moral and our philosophical capacity. And so technology is way ahead of us where we are developing morally and philosophically. So I think that plays a role in it too.
Yeah, because technology grows like exponentially
faster
while society grows at a much slower rate than technology. And so I think that's where the conflict comes in, is where society literally can't adapt fast enough for how fast technology is. But I think this long form of a podcast, being able to explain complicated ideas, whether it's from a psychological perspective, from a physiological perspective, it is just like trying to like portray those ideas and explain to people this is why it's happening. And like if you're feeling, because I know Trevor's talked about this on the podcast where he doesn't like social media because he felt like he was always comparing people to himself, right? And having that is like a double-edged sword. If we don't have the psychological aspect to be able to recognize, like, okay, this is not healthy that I'm constantly comparing myself to A, B, and C on this social media platform. But if you're able to recognize that and instead like feel gratitude, feel like a sense of happiness because your friend Billy, Bob, and Joe all got to like do something awesome instead of like, damn, I wish I was there doing something awesome with them. You know, you can have a sense of like euphoria versus a sense of like downfall and, you know, depression, you know.
So if like your friends go off and have a great time without you, the proper response wouldn't be to be like jealous that maybe you missed it. Maybe the proper response would be that like, I'm happy that they had a great time on that trip.
Yeah, I'm happy they had a great time, and I would love to do that with them one day, you know? But like, just because the circumstance didn't work out that I wasn't able to be there that certain time, some people, and I think that's a big part of it, is like, it's that FOMO, it's the fear of missing out, right? Yeah. And that's like a big phenomenon in our, like, especially our culture right now with our generation, yes, yeah. Is that, like, that FOMO is like a big thing. But if you're able to like experience and like be happy for and not necessarily like compare your experience with what happening right now because you wish you were at Coachella or whatever it may be, it'll like I think that leads back to not knowing how to wield this technology yet. Is because we're not psychologically thinking when it's like, shit, I wish I was there. I'm not thinking like, that's a bad way to think about it. Instead of me being happy for my friends, like, oh, they saw some awesome DJs at this concert. It's like, shit, dude, I didn't get to go to that concert. I wish I saw it. They think of it that way first instead of the happier version.
And yeah, and when you think like that constantly through everyone's post that you're swiping, you know, that's when the drains on you.
Yeah, that's a lot of
depression kicks in.
Yeah, instead of getting like serotonin, dopamine hits in your brain because you're like happy for your friends and happy for like your family members or whatever you're seeing on social media. Instead, you're feeling the opposite way about it, and so it's like depleting those levels in your brain. And so I think understanding the science behind it, understanding the psychological aspect of it, like while you're going into it, is just a learning phase that we have to critically understand and critically adapt and like be aware of it as we're using these platforms, using these technologies, because then we will get a better result of it. Like we're going to be able to wield the sword for good instead of like for our pitfalls.
And what you're talking about, how if someone else has pleasure in doing something, you should be happy for that person because they found like happiness and pleasure, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly what people in like open relationship use like as an argument to have an open relationship. And so I don't know how that works in with like friend, that makes sense, but is it changed with the significant other? Because if you say like
that
my partner finds
complicated,
yeah, exactly. Like, so, but that's what they use.
But that's a different beast entirely. Because I was just talking about like social media, you know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm bringing it up. Like that, they think there's no difference. I guess the people in the open relationship.
I think it depends on the people and what they're looking for. Because like think about it, a lot of it had to do with like why you have like one mate or whatever. It's because like I feel like a lot of it was probably because of the biological need to like reproduce, right?
You could reproduce with more than one mate, though. I mean, I think it has to do with more biblical aspects.
I think there's the biblical aspect. There's the kid aspect of having like a strong, stable home environment. I think there's also the bonding chemicals that are released when you are like having sex with your partner. So it's like there's the bonding chemicals, then there's the stability for children, and then there's like the biblical aspect.
Yeah, but like what I was saying with the biological thing was because if you like stay with that mate after you've mated with them and you have a kid, the kid's way better off to survive if it has a dad that is out there like foraging for food, hunting for food to grow this kid up, right?
He's a good role model.
Instead of if you just reproduced and then moved on. And so I feel like that has somewhat to do with it.
the children throw a huge wrench in that. You know, that's where like a lot of that changes. It's like once you have a kid, then like you have a huge responsibility with your partner.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a kid,
but it doesn't mean that has to be your only partner, right? Like say if you had like two kids with two different women, like that's probably a manageable number where you can still like juggle everything, right?
So you have like two families, basically.
But I think if you get to like the Prince of Persia level where you're having like 50 different kids with 50 different wives, you don't know who's who, you know?
Yeah, and you're never going to be obviously a good dad to 50 different kids.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm saying on a biological level, it probably doesn't matter about being a good dad. It's probably more about just Darwinism, the sense of survival, right?
Yeah, being able to reproduce, or at that level, it's more like I've created a legacy or like a lasting name for myself because of how many people I've.
I think you created a part of yourself. A part of you is that kid.
That's like Genghis Khan.
That's a sense of yourself.
That's like the Genghis Khan story where he had like hundreds, thousands of different like mates, and it's something crazy where like 23% of like the world is like related to Genghis Khan or something like stupid crazy.
Yeah,
like
I know there's some outrageous.
It's an outrageous percentage where like 23% or like some stupid amount of percentage of human beings is a descendant of Genghis Khan.
Yeah, I think they also like figured that maybe the human population came down to like 100,000 or something, or like 10,000, some really small number, and we almost died off, and then that we came back out again and exponentially grew. So like we could have been eradicated from Earth, and we got pretty close. I think that's what a lot of historians and anthropologists.
Yeah, him just raping and pillaging villages and countries, and the Mongols are crazy. Dan Carlin's podcast on the Mongols, the Wrath of Khan, I think it's called, is like it's like a 3 or 4 part series where each episode is like 3 hours long, and Dan Carlin's just like a crazy historian who like is such a great storyteller. He's like the Neil deGrasse Tyson of history storytelling. Like, you know how he can portray scientific things so well to the average person? Dan Carlin is like that, but with history. And it's fascinating. If any of our listeners haven't heard of Hardcore History by Dan Carlin, definitely got to check it out. One of the greatest podcasts out there.
And, yeah, exactly. And you may not even be interested in like Genghis Khan, but he has other stuff that's well written and spoken, and I'm pretty sure he writes and does like hours and hours and hours of research and all that to make sure he has it like the best of his ability to like interpret this. Yeah. And then he also has another one that Genghis Khan is fantastic, and then the other one is like a World War I, because a lot of people don't know about World War I. They're more like
World War II
based, and so like you learn a lot about World War I and how all this started and like how that can influence the world, and like hell, it can even happen again, man. Like
World War III.
But our generation didn't grow up in a war, so we're like, that'll never happen. It's kind of like, it's a small possibility, but it could never happen.
Now with Trump in North Korea,
well, I think that sense is like starting to rise a little bit.
But you got Russia involved too, and I mean,
so going back to the Genghis Khan thing, roughly 16 million people in today's society are related to Genghis Khan, are direct descendants from Genghis Khan. So that's
8% of men
8% of men in Asia.
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
16 million people.
What a legacy.
There's like 500,000 people in Sacramento. So times that by 32, and that's how many people are related to Genghis Khan on the planet Earth.
Wow.
That's crazy. The greater Sacramento area, times that by 32.
Well, greater Sacramento area, there's over like 1 million people.
I think there might be 1 million.
It's like 1.3, I think. Yeah. Greater Sacramento area.
Yeah.
I guess. What are you considering?
Like, I'm considering like Rancho, like Folsom, Granite Bay, Roseville.
Yeah. Elk Grove.
Elk
stuff
Grove.
Like that.
Yeah.
West Sac.
Like kind of just.
I think it is $1 million. I think it is about $1 million.
Yeah,
You're right.
I think like more like Sac County.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what I'm considering.
Metropolitan area.
Okay, so it's like $2 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, so $2 million. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then
So
what was his
so
16
greater-
million?
I mean, that's why
So-
it takes
so
me
that's
30
8
minutes to
times.
go. That's why
So
it takes
8 times
me
the
30
greater
minutes to go
Sacramento
7
area.
miles
Jeez.
from my work to here. So ridiculous.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking of just the Sacramento. Just the Sacramento.
The city of Sacramento.
Yeah, the city of Sacramento has 500,000.
Okay, yeah, he was spot on.
That's what I was
That's what
thinking.
you guys should do for your next podcast is a thing on Sacramento and
The history of Sacramento.
not the history. I mean,
Okay. There's some crazy shit that's going on in Sacramento.
Brian doesn't like history. Fuck the history.
No.
He's not a history buff, kid.
I am a history buff, but Sacramento history it's more gold mining. So I'm not interested in it. I was gonna say you should just do Sacramento like just current events and what they got going on in Sacramento and how it's an up and coming city and how basically like Bay Area has influenced the housing market here.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Dude, that'd
just
be
the different
that'd be
events
cool
and
to get
what how Golden Ones really helped bring up downtown
That old area.
in
down
that old
there.
area. So
Yeah, if we could get if we got like a realtor or something and
Like
got to
city
talk
planner.
to him of like how it has affected his business and stuff, that'd be fascinating.
I might know a
realtor,
guy.
you don't even need a realtor. You just need someone to even tell you about Folsom,
Well,
aka
actually-
Dad.
Well, Mark and I wanted
yeah,
to get that on the podcast.
That's on our short list for
Yeah.
podcast guests. That
Our short list isn't very short. We got a lot of people we need to get on.
I don't know, but yeah.
But you're right. It is an up-and-coming city, and it wasn't very great like decades ago. But now I feel like Sacramento is like pretty decent city to live in.
Mm-hmm.
It's growing. I mean, it's just people. A lot of it has to do with people moving away from the Bay Area.
Yeah, that's a huge
Because
influence.
there's a stupid amount of people that live out here that commute to the Bay every day, which I don't know how the fuck they live that lifestyle.
I don't know how they live that lifestyle, but I'll tell you why they do it.
But-
Because they get a house for $400,000 out here versus $1 million in there. Oh, let me save $600,000. I'll easily do that commute,
It's like-
and I still keep my Bay
It's
Area,
like 3 hours.
and I still keep my Bay Area income. Oh yeah, I can do that. Like, I don't know how I couldn't do that
but
personally.
but yeah,
I mean, it definitely takes someone
Well,
special.
you can do it, but
whatnot.
it's like, then what are you sacrificing at that point?
Yeah,
you're sacrificing a lot of things.
A lot of time. You're like
yeah.
your well-being,
Like,
your
even-
psychology.
Even like my buddy Ryan, who lives in the Bay, he lives in Dublin, but he has to commute to like work. He said it takes him like an hour commute like one way, and he's already in the Bay. So that's like a stupid amount of just imagine what you could do in an hour one way. So that's 2 hours a day you're spending just commuting. That's a stupid amount of like productivity time you could be using if you're trying to like maximize your hours,
Yeah, and not everyone is. So I mean, it's easy. Especially, it's easy to get like that. Especially once you have a family and kid, you're trying to support them. It's like I'm going to take the most money type situation. I mean, obviously, some people like want to spend it with their family, but like they don't care about doing other activities outside of work. They just want to spend it with their family. So. And I mean, as it should be, you should spend time with your kids and your family and whatnot. But
yeah, that's
yeah.
always like in the back. Hopefully in the back.
But then I feel like you gotta me personally, I always feel like you gotta take care of yourself first before you can take care of anyone else. And so that's why I like to personally like. I'm a hardcore person. Like I work out probably.
In what sense to the hardcore, Brian? Let's
Well,
figure that out
physically
first.
active.
Yeah,
Physically
yeah,
active,
yeah,
I
let's-
should
let's
say,
do
is
that.
hardcore.
There you
Whereas
go.
I'll work out twice a day, and I also have soccer. I play 4 to 5 times a week. I mean, I'm pretty active and keep myself busy. But like, I feel like you got to take care of yourself before you can take care of someone else too. So
Yeah, obviously.
yeah.
Yeah, and like maybe like our commuting might be a little hectic, and we might have longer commutes. But I was reading in one of my economics classes that we have the most productive workers So we have the most
What,
output
in Sacramento?
out of any state. It goes us,
Or California?
Out of any state. So it goes us, California,
not the world.
And then the second is Texas. And so even though we do have those long commutes, like our work productivity as Californians is the highest in the nation.
I mean, that's also...
A lot of that has to do with, like, Silicon Valley and shit, you know?
Yeah.
But
I think it has to do with a lot of it, though.
It does, but also that's why we're the sixth largest economy in the world. Just California itself is the sixth largest economy in the world.
We just passed France.
Exactly.
So all those French suck it.
Wait, we're French. Wait, is that a diss on ourselves?
No. They can still suck it, man. We're American.
We're Americans by now.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
My citizenship says American, and then second best France. All right.
But I have this like long going theory that I've been thinking about for like years now, where the more recent you create like a country or an economy or government or something, the better off you are. Just from like the simple fact is you get to look at everything in the past and you get to like ideally take the best from everything and eliminate the worst from everything. And that's where like on 2 podcasts ago when we had Avery on, I was like, hey, what do you think about California, like, seceding from the Union and becoming our own country? Like, I just wanted to hear his thoughts on it. And so that's why, like, I brought that idea up. But that's because I've been thinking about that idea for a long time. Because every government that was, like, most recently created, like, they created a better and better version. So if California, like, seceded away, what would stop us from creating a better version of the United States? Because I think there's clearly a better version of what we have now. And so if we're able to just like hone in like a certain percentage of that, even say you're 10% better than what you are now, 10 years from now, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, that 10% better that you started at will just exponentially grow and will allow your government, your country to thrive and just succeed at an exponentially better level. And so, since, like, the United States is so fucking brand new, it's only, like, barely over 300 years old, and we're already, like, the powerhouses of the world, and if California is already the top 6 best economy in the world, think about all the shit we produce, like, the amount of, like, knowledge and growth and, like, progressiveness of the whole country that California brings to the country. Like, North Dakota, Idaho, like, you're great states, but you're not even providing anywhere close to the amount of economic and, like, forwardness that California is providing to the country. If you're looking at it from, like, a team of 50 people of the 50 states, like, North Dakota's not pulling its fucking weight. We're the guy in the gym working the extra hours, like, providing way more for this country than any other state, right? Except for maybe, like, New York and some other big ones. But I'm just saying on a localized level, since California's so fucking huge and we have such a big economic impact on the whole country, like, what would stop the California, if it succeeded and became its own country, to not make just a better version of the United States?
Well, the U.S. government never let that happen because we are the 6th largest
That's kind of funny.
economy in the world. They never let that happen because they would never want us to, like, separate from them. But basically, I think...
But you know Texas has that clause, right? Where they can literally separate whenever the fuck they want.
Yeah, but I don't think they would, though.
I don't think they would. I didn't know they had that clause.
But
I don't think the government would let them, to be honest. It's pretty set.
I mean, yeah, but it's like, is it realistic?
It's like, it's like in their Bill of Rights or the Constitution or whatever in Texas.
That's what they always say, and they always preach, like, we're going to leave, but you guys never do.
Yeah.
You're not going to leave.
You're not going to.
Yeah. But have you guys ever thought about that? Because I've thought about that for, like, I don't know, maybe 7+ years, where it's just an interesting idea because if something new is that like governmental wise was better than the last, why wouldn't we be able to create something better, right?
And it's also hard to say like, how do you know it's better and like what is better about it, and would that really translate into a better entire country? We don't know.
Yeah. But I think having the knowledge of you do today compared to the knowledge we had in 1776 when we created the country is so like superior that you would have to
It is,
really,
but it's also based on all
you would have to,
experience,
exactly.
right?
You have all that experience, you have all that knowledge, you have all that history to build off of. In like 1776, they couldn't think about the internet. The idea of the internet, it was like talking about aliens. But
yeah, but it all comes back to philosophy. Well, I can't.
Philosophy.
Philosophical. Philosophical. That's what I was trying to get. Sorry.
But that's what I'm saying.
But I'm saying you could take all that into account.
Well, your state your new created country will be only as good as its fundamental values.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm saying, why can't we
have the right fundamental values in California?
Why can't we have better fundamental values than we previously had in 1776?
Well, you definitely can. But it doesn't mean that you actually are going to have those. You can appear to have better fundamental values, but once those put in time and true tested scenarios, they may fall under the weight of its own collapse. Because when you think of stuff, especially intelligence, all that stuff, and all that technology, that can be, it can fall in love with itself and think nothing else outside of its parameters, and it will doom itself.
I know, but I think those are all things you have to take into consideration. And like knowing what we know now, if you get the right people in place to take all those things in consideration, obviously you're going to make something better, right?
Yeah, those are huge questions though. Like, can you get the right person in place?
I know. Those are huge questions, but let's talk into like a ideal world, right? Like if.
Okay.
Because
aren't you?
Isn't that what you're striving for? Wouldn't you like an ideal world? Otherwise, what's the point of improving?
Are you trying to set up like a utopian society? Is that what you're trying to do from this country?
Not necessarily. I don't think there's such thing as a utopian society. Like I don't think it's physically possible with people involved. Just because people are people, and there's way too many variables and. Like, what some people want isn't what everybody wants, and, vice versa. I don't think a utopia society exists, but I sure as fuck think a better society exists out there that we haven't gotten yet. Hence why we're still striving to get a better society. Otherwise, you would just give up and not even strive for a better society.
Yeah, I think that's why everyone gets up in the morning and goes to work, because they think they're going to have a better life, and... They're gonna. I think that's the majority of people. That's like the majority of Americans.
Yeah, so I'm like scaling that to just a governmental level.
How can we get government to do what though? I'm kind of confused on that point.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What are you trying to get our government to do?
Well, I'm just saying I think we can come up with something better than what we currently have.
Yeah, I think that it can always be better, right?
And the quickest way to do that is to become a new government.
I think
right?
there's ways to have new amendments and laws, not necessarily quick government. That's a big change.
Yeah, I think you're right, but you have to define what a new government is. What do you mean? What are you precisely changing within our original government to a new government?
I don't have specific laws that I would enforce, if that's what you're asking.
Well, not laws, but
I'm thinking on a theoretical level, on a level that I'm not thinking about specific laws or specific things I would have in the government. I'm thinking on a theoretical level where, compared to what we had in 1776. Our knowledge, our experience, our foresight of what the future will be is far vast, far superior to what it was in 1776. So I think it's ludicrous if you don't think you can come up with something better. Because with that extra 300 plus years of experience, you get that much more knowledge, that much more history to base your decisions off of. So in an ideal world, if you get the best people in place that could raise this government from nothing, kind of like we founded our country, you know? Like, if you just get the best people in place from all sectors of life, where we're able to really get a better holistic view of what we are as a society, as people, as a generation, as California, or whatever it may be. Like, I think other states could do this as well. I'm not saying just California, but I'm saying, like, if you're able to come up with something better because you're able to get better minds to it compared to what we had in 1776, and I think we have better minds nowadays than we did in 1776.
Like, what do you mean by better minds? That's kind of vague.
Well, because, like, the founding fathers, right? Like, they wrote the Bill of Rights, where it's like the bill, like, you know, freedom of speech. That's number one, right? And like, there's a lot of things I thought they got right, but there's obviously things they didn't get right, hence why we made amendments. But I'm saying if we can start off with a better starting point, then it'll exponentially project us in a better position for the future.
What do you mean by better starting point, though?
Yeah, what are better starting points?
You're starting on these vague terms that is hard to grasp for, like, a listener. Like, it sounds like vague stuff.
It probably is, because I don't have, like, try and follow me on, like,
I'm trying, but I can't because there's so many, like, cognitive dissonance. Like, well, you need to explain that, and we need to know exactly what you mean by that, and you're contradicting yourself over here when you're saying this over here.
Well, I'm literally trying to think as big a picture as possible. And so I'm not thinking on the level of, like, okay, we need to have this as our first part in the Bill of Rights, or whatever it may be, you know? Because the way I've been thinking about it has been really broad thinking, in the sense that if I'm looking at it from above, looking down, it seems like there's a better way to do it. Because going back to the first starting point,
I don't think anyone's denying that, though. Like, I think we all know our system can be functioning better. Yeah, I mean, that's a premise that pretty much everyone can get behind. But then you have to constitute, well, what the hell is better?
Yeah,
I know, and I think those are questions that need to be answered. But I'm not saying I have those answers.
Okay, so I think what I got out of that was just, like, we need to be better, and we can add things to make it better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we all agree with that, you know?
But I'm saying, okay, let's say we ended up on an island, all three of us, and it's only us on the island. So we own that fucking island. We get to govern ourselves however the fuck we want. Because there's no police, there's no army, like, there's no international parties involved. It's just us three in this island. We get to dictate how we want to run this island. And if we come up with, like, a better starting point where how we want to govern ourselves on this island, it will, like, project us to be better. Instead of saying, okay, we're going to take everything that was applicable back in 1776, applying it to this island, and, like, whatever the law was back then, what their vision of what America was back then is just different. I'm taking that concept of starting something new, and since you get to start from zero, kind of with our podcast, we get to start from zero, and then we get to go. And because you're starting from nothing, and if you get to make all the rules, who says you can't make, like, a better game?
Well, yeah, so I think it went back to your point that we can make a better game. And you're looking at it, okay, so you said you're looking at it from above, which is good, and you have this macro perspective. But if you're looking at something from above, and it's too high, you get lost in the clouds.
Yeah.
That's a good analogy, I think, to apply to this point in time in this conversation. Because, like, if you go too high, then you can't see and you get lost in the clouds, and you start to get delusional, and you can't pick out things properly, and you can't distinguish, and it's not very detailed, and it's not very high resolution. It's so resolution, yeah, it sort of makes sense, but when it comes to, like, down to it, it's not high resolution enough to make a good impact.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, from that last, like, 15 minutes you're talking about, I think Bryan and I are on the same wavelength here. We're like, yeah, we get it. You want to improve stuff. So do we. That's the whole point. Like, we get it. Like, I think that was the main point out of that entire talk.
I guess my question is then,
how do you improve
say there was an island that...
and like this...
No, just say...
Okay.
Hear me out.
Okay.
Say there's an island that you could have, like, 1 million people live on that nobody's discovered before now, and you start building a society there. Why couldn't you make a better system than the United States currently is? Because if the United States is the best country in the world, as, like, we all like to proclaim it is, what stops us from making a better version of that?
Okay, so then that's saying, like, what I get out of that is you're saying that there could be something that's better than the United States.
Yep, 100%.
And I think we all agree about that. I think we all agree. That's pretty unanimous, I would say. Yeah, I think we all get it. Yeah, United States could be better.
So if you create something like just out of California or any other state, if you want to create your own government, well, why couldn't you make it better than what the United States is now?
I think you're asking the wrong question. It's not why you couldn't make it, it's how do you make it better.
Yeah.
That's when everyone gets stuck on. Yeah. That's when the real debate gets on.
So then you agree with me.
Of course we can make the United States better. We all agree on that. That's an agreement.
You can make anything better.
Yeah.
There's no finish line to improvement.
You can make you can make every society on Earth better.
Yeah.
But the question is how, and that's the question no one has the answer to.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
Yeah,
I'm thinking macro, baby.
Well, yeah,
we know that.
Yeah, I know, we know, Mark.
But I'm no Jordan Peterson. I'm no Elon Musk. I'm not gonna be the guy that's gonna all of a sudden be like, "Hey, this is what you got to do to make California greater." But I'm just saying the what if question.
What if we make a better government?
Yeah. What if California succeeded and we made a better government?
There's definitely a possibility. It could be better, but there's also definitely a possibility it could be worse than what it is now.
Yeah.
Which I don't think people are like, oh, better, but they don't think about there's just as much chance it could go wrong. And they don't look about the things that it can go negative. It's like knowing your limits as a person. Some people just don't know their limits.
But that's why it's crucially important to get the right people in power.
Yeah, I think we all agree about that. Of course, you want the best person possible.
I know, but I'm looking at it from like an optimistic point of view.
Yeah, it's definitely.
You're throwing your like pessimistic point of view in there, which is but it's a valid point of view.
What was pessimistic about it?
How you said, like, people aren't looking at how it could go worse. But I think that's exactly how you make it better, is you look at how it's going to go worse, and in that sense, you're going to be... It's the same thing.
Pessimistic point of view.
It's a pessimistic but optimistic point of view, because I'm fixing everything that can go wrong, so now everything can go right, and now it's going to be better.
Exactly. I feel like you're proving my point.
Why couldn't we do it?
I don't know what your original... I still don't know your original point.
I
don't think Bryan does either. We both do. We spent like 30 minutes on Mark trying to explain this.
Can we edit this out?
Yeah. We might have to edit this out. We spent 30 minutes... We let Mark go on his 30-minute rant.
I didn't want to interrupt.
Now after 30 minutes, Bryan and I are still clueless.
If any of the listeners like get what I'm saying, or...
Shoot him an email. I support Mark and how we can make America better. Well, I agree with you. We can make America better.
I agree.
Everyone in America, I think we all get that.
Yeah.
Sick.
It was just one big circle.
Yeah, I know.
But California, like, succeeding, I think all those people are so delusional, though. Like, it's going to be way better. Well, I don't know how the hell you know that. And we can't tell the future, just like how in, 1776, they didn't know how this was going to go. We don't know how the hell the future's going to come and take us. And we didn't really think about, like, 25 years ago about iPhones. So we can't predict the future just as much as those guys did.
Yeah, but your prediction of the future now is 1,000 times better than what their prediction of the future was back then. So your starting point...
I wouldn't say 1,000 times.
But I get your point
how much
a
technology...
bit.
Dude, they didn't even have fucking cars
Yeah,
back
we don't
then.
know how this technology is going. We never predicted cars would go this big and impact our society. That's what I'm saying. There's still just as much unknown variables.
But your starting point is better.
But you're creating more unknown variables.
Yeah, okay, I get your point. Yeah, your starting point is
Your starting point's 1,000,000 times better than what it was. Just because...
I would say it's easier, but the ease of predicting the future is just as hard.
Yeah.
Obviously, but if you get a
so we're just as clueless as the founders, and you said that, we're better than the founders now. I think that's a very narcissistic way of thinking.
You will always be, if you looked at it objectively, you will always be better a day from now than you were a day previous, and that goes exponentially from hundreds of years ago, just from the simple fact that you know more now today than what you did back then.
Yeah, that's a true point.
And if you get to start at a better point, you're more than likely better off.
But I feel like you also need that experience to know where you came from.
Yeah, you don't have the history and the fundamental values that we did.
But who says you're not taking that into your new one? Who says you're not taking that?
You were.
You are. Yeah, that's exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, my whole argument was you get to take the
same but different. that's what I got out of that.
Yeah.
Same but different. It's like, okay, well, good job. You just got a huge cognitive dissonance going on here. It's untraceable, basically.
I don't get why this is a confusing subject.
Maybe if you re-listen to the podcast, you'll get it. You have a more objective view. Dude, I'm telling you though, like, look, it may look like from your point of view that Bryan and I are making fun of you. It's just like, maybe you're not portraying or articulating the way you think in your head.
Yeah.
And it's not coming out the same way as when you're talking and how other people are perceiving it.
I feel like I do that a lot, to be honest. But
yeah. It's definitely hard to do to, like, match those up. But, like, I mean...
It seems like common sense to me.
Yeah, because you're the one saying it and you're the one thinking it, but you're not the one listening to it from a different person, though. That's why.
Very true. New topic, anyways.
Yeah, they definitely shut that off. 15 minutes in Mark's rant. This is ridiculous.
You're just a bunch of haters, man.
See, and that's the best part is because you don't
People
like my
don't
idea,
agree. Yeah,
you're an idiot and you're a hater. That's the best part about
Exactly.
Californians too. And that's the best part about identity politics.
Haterade.
Oh, you don't want to give black people money? You're a hater and you're racist. They say the same exact thing. They say it the same exact way. There's no difference between those. The connotation's the same exact way.
Yeah.
I can definitely see, like, Mark's definitely a little off-put about this.
Yeah.
We have to rein Mark back in, you know. Some people go out there, you gotta rein them back in.
So, Mark, tell us about your bike ride the other day. Where did you go?
I'm just trying to figure out different ways to explain it, but whatever. Whatevs.
Alright, well, you two are excited for Coachella because you guys are going, correct?
That is correct.
Did you guys already get your Airbnb or hotel or wherever you guys are staying?
Yeah. Yeah, our friend Sandra booked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that task is complete, Brian. Thanks for checking up on that.
You're welcome.
Thanks for being our itinerary and make sure we got that marked down.
Yeah.
Thanks for being our travel guide.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
can you be my assistant too while you're at it?
Anytime.
Yeah, we're definitely going to Coachella. Avery talks about that in his first podcast. I actually listened to Avery's podcast, The Culture Project. Check it out, ladies and gentlemen. It's pretty sick. He talked about Coachella. There's some good advice in there and stuff. And, yeah, it should be pretty crazy. Obviously, there's a great lineup, but I just don't want to rehash Avery's podcast and just talk about Coachella.
Let's just not have Tony rehash Snow Globe.
Tony's a crazy guy. But Snow Globe is fun. Those Snow Globe tickets just got on sale too, or they're about to go on pre-sale for $18. Should be pretty nutty.
Very good. Well, that reminds me. We should look at a trip to Europe or somewhere. I know you guys have gone to Belize, but Europe. I just had a coworker book a flight to Spain, round trip for $500.
What company?
I mean, she's a coworker. She works for me.
No, what company is she using to fly?
She doesn't work for me, but she's a coworker.
I know what airline. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know. But $500, and she's spending 2 weeks there in Spain.
Good. Just visa?
I don't know. She said Barcelona, and then she'll go from there. But she doesn't have any set plans. But she's going to Barcelona. That's where she flies into. So,
is she going by herself?
No, she said she's going with her cousin. But I was pretty jealous because definitely Spain is one.
Aren't you supposed to be happy for people?
No, I am happy.
Talk about this in the podcast?
But I've always wanted to go to Spain.
I know, I'm just joking around.
I just don't have enough PTO to go to Spain right now. Been using it quite a bit, but...
Yes, you want to go to Catalonia? You want to join those strikes? Be a part of that?
No. I like employment, that's okay.
I don't think it was about employment. They're about to separate their country.
Catalonia, because their unemployment rate is 24% or something.
I think just in their culture it's a little different too.
But yeah.
But Spain would be kind of cool. That whole northern Mediterranean Sea area, that France and Italy area, Spain, really nice.
Yeah.
Definitely looks really nice. Yeah. So when are you gonna book your flight, Brian? Couple years?
Couple years, I guess.
That's pretty sick. That'd be a good place to go. Yeah, and did we tell you that Brett Curry wanted to go to Venezuela?
Why Venezuela?
Right before all of this went down in Venezuela. Right at the cusp of it.
He would have got held hostage.
Yeah, he's
for sure.
And the funniest part was, his response was, we can hire a security team. We can still go to Venezuela, we just gotta hire a security team. If I have to hire a security team anywhere I go, I'm not going there.
Yeah.
That's good enough for me.
I'm not taking that risk.
Yeah. And they just made it illegal for the hospital to report the cause of death to be famine or malnutrition. So that's how they're curbing their statistics.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's messed up down there.
It is. It is true.
Everyone's trying to flee and stuff. It's crazy. But hey, socialism's on the rise. Socialism, you make it, they take it.
Yep.
That's the motto.
You make it, they take it.
Gotta love it, man. One day it'll work.
One day. Hasn't worked yet, but one day.
300 years, we'll never know. It could work then. But now, may not. Yeah. That's the thing about being lost in the clouds. I think all those socialists are really lost in the clouds.
Yeah.
There's no clarity or reality, and every time you deny reality, tragedy follows. And that's a huge... I don't even know... For me, I don't know how they can't get that. If you're promoting the socialist or Marxist idea, or utopian, or whatever you want to call it, it's I don't see how you can't see the downfalls of that. It's just so bloody obvious. But I don't know, that's just me. Yeah. No response.
Yeah, no response. Mark's still angry over there.
Yeah.
He's still upset.
Yeah, Mark's in woe over here. Yeah. Still trying to figure this out. How can I explain to these fucking idiots? These guys are retarded.
Thinking about about it.
Yeah, stirring on it. Yeah, man, it's not easy to have your ideas that come across as as clear as like you think, or they're maybe not. There's just gaps in your thinking, and like everyone has that. It's like such a natural thing, and that's like the worst part. Is like when you have something that you think is just so magnificent, and like you think you nailed down, and you cross your T's, you dotted your I's, you think you got everything perfect. Then someone just comes along, well, this is wrong. You're like, God damn it. They spent 2 seconds on it and they said it was wrong already. That's the most annoying thing ever.
They didn't even take time to analyze it at all.
Yeah. Like, well, that's wrong there.
Yeah.
And then you have to figure that out and like go back and spend like a couple minutes on that, or maybe even hours trying to figure out, well, how did they see that? Like, where did I miss that? Or what are they trying to
Communication. That's the hardest part of any relationship. So yeah,
I like how you just apply that to relationships.
That could be any relationship.
Yeah, that's what relationships.
It's communication though. Just trying to figure out what this
I
person
know.
is trying to mean, what you're trying to convey. So
yeah, that is a huge part, and that's why I think Carl Rogers had that beautiful notion, that beautiful, like I would say, guideline. And so, like, if maybe there is a struggle in communication, or you don't know exactly what that person is saying. So if I'm talking to Bryan, I give him my points and what I'm trying to say, and then you allow me to do that. And then you have to summarize what I just said to you, and then I have to agree that's exactly what I meant. Mm-hmm. And so if you do that, it's like painstaking because it takes longer and it's more effort.
I could see that.
It definitely works, but it's like, because it's such a
an elaborate
process and so laborious that it's hard to do that on a constant basis.
I agree.
Yeah, it'll take forever.
Yeah, so that's like, you gotta like...
It's not an efficient way of doing things.
Yeah, it's definitely not efficient, but if you need to get something exactly right, that's like the best way to do it.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So like, he figured that out, and I was like, wow, that's a great guideline.
Great guideline.
Yeah. So if you have like, conflict, or you're struggling to talk to somebody, that's like the best way to do it. It's definitely good advice. For sure. All right. You guys have anything else? Anything crazy? Was it crazy?
Check out soccerlifeathletics.com. Shout out to my friend Kyle Woody.
The entrepreneur.
The entrepreneur. The genius.
Watch out, advertisement coming your way.
Yeah.
We'll get you guys some shirts, don't worry.
Yeah.
Get you guys, repping the gear.
Potential first sponsor of the podcast?
Yeah, potential first sponsor, definitely.
We'll work that up with him.
Yeah.
How's that going for him, though? So, tell him just how
Oh,
he
horrible.
started this.
Absolutely horrible. But
Tell him how your friend started this and the story of that.
So basically, Kyle thought of, he's always thinking of ways to make money and also, like, what's a fun way to do it, that something I would enjoy, and even potentially, like, I could quit he's an electrical engineer for Cal ISO, and basically, how can I quit my job and also have fun, like, making, he sees it as, like, making millions, like, he has that, that unattainable type goal, or he sees, like, his company, like, being the next Nike. Almost.
Yeah, so he's trying to turn this, startup company into, like, a Nike.
Exactly. So, but, I mean, he's always been like that, very entrepreneur, always trying to keep busy, but he basically wanted to do something that he could do that was enjoyable, and also, like, employ, like, his friends, while also, making, buku bucks. So he thought his t-shirt business would be good, so he made a company called Soccer Life Athletics, where it combined not only athletic type gear for soccer, but something you could wear out on the street as well. So not just soccer gear, and so he made it, and he wants to try to promote these different shirts and stuff. But right now it's in its infant stages, basically, where it's just starting off, and he has 4 products, 4 different types of shirts, but...
And he has a website?
And he has a website called soccerlifeathletics.com.
Can people put in orders and he'll ship it to them?
People can put in orders and we'll ship it to them. And it's $15 for a shirt. There's the Russia World Cup shirts he made specifically for this next World Cup coming up in black and white. And then he also has some shirts where it says Live Breathe Soccer on it. So...
Yeah, and so like this material sort of like an Under Armour material?
Like it's more it's like a 50-50, so it's 50% polyester, 50% cotton, and then I think some of the shirts are also 100% cottons, but definitely on his products he does specify what type of material he's using for that particular product and whatnot. But they're pretty good designs, but it's still obviously, you know, in its early stages and still needs to be worked on, the website and whatnot. But there's always, like he likes to say, no finish line to improvement. So something can always be worked on better. But definitely check them out. And like I said, we'll get you guys some shirts for the podcast next time that you guys can rep.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, that sounds
sick.
That sounds pretty sweet. Yeah. And like, is it? So do I have to play soccer to wear this? What's going on?
You don't have to play soccer. It's
players?
just for someone that's in love with the game. They may not, you know, actually play soccer, but they just like to watch it or, you know, play FIFA or whatever, and can also rep it. Yeah, it's not necessarily for an actual soccer player, but just someone that's in love with the game itself. So that's what it's mainly for.
Sick. I gotta check out that Russia T-shirt, man. If he's creating stuff like that, he should create like, because there's a lot of soccer people have like inside knowledge of that culture, and like there's inside jokes with stuff like that. If he had T-shirts with those inside jokes that only soccer players would get, or if you're like an avid like watcher of soccer, you would understand these jokes. I think if you made a couple of those, that'd be hilarious.
Yeah, so right now it's kind of towards a niche market, just soccer like enthusiasts basically, but that's what he's going for right now. So yeah. But, yeah, he has some definitely shirts in the way where it is more, like, geared towards, like, kind of jokes of, like, soccer players and whatnot, if you actually do watch soccer. So, just look for that out on the way, and they'll be coming to you shortly.
Yep, sounds awesome. What was it again?
Soccerlifeathletics.com.
Hey, there you go.
There you go.
Potential for a sponsor. I like it.
Yep. Maybe we'll have to get him on the podcast as well. So.
Yeah, we might have to. Sacramento's on the come up. Look what we're doing.
Yep, look what we're doing.
Magical things are happening in Sacramento. Don't sleep on us.
Hey,
don't sleep on us.
Don't sleep on us.
A lot of good things coming. All right, I guess we'll wrap it up here. Anything else? Anything else, boys?
Nope.
Good.
I'm good.
All right.
Yeah, it's been a fun time. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it first. That's the oldest or the eldest LePage brother. And so glad we got him on. We might have to get the eldest LePage, Lynn LePage, the father. And he might have to be our next guest. But thanks for being our guest, or our third guest, and on our 6th episode. So
yeah, thanks. Hopefully you come back and be guest of the year.
Yeah, right? yeah, don't sleep on that idea, too.
Don't sleep on that idea.
All right, guys. That's it for us. 0 and go.